All right, let's dig into some edit groups. We can do edit groups and mixed groups. Um, it's a great way to control more than one track at a time. So let's dig into here. Edit groups. We can link edit related tasks like track height and track view and elastic audio settings, elastic audio edits, any kind of audio or MIDI editing. And then on the mixed group side, they're great for mix related tasks, obviously, like volume changes, like fader changes, any mix parameter or track status changes like pan, mute, solo, and so on. Any kind of automation modes, send settings, plugin settings, all of these are great for mix groups. So how do we create a group? There's a few ways. The groups list is on the left-hand column on the bottom of both the edit window and the mix window. And there's a pop-up window. It says new group, Command G. Or we can go to the tracks menu and say group, Command G. And notice I had some tracks pre-selected. So it went ahead and put those tracks as part of this group. But let's back up a second. Look, we can name this. These are my drums. We can pick an ID. We have 26 letters in the alphabet, and we have 4 groups of those. So we have 104 groups that we could create. And you might want to just pick a letter that's like the first letter of your group name. And you'll see why, because you can command key focus this and then activate and deactivate these by letters. So then we have the type. Is this going to be an edit group only, a mix group only, or a combination of mix and edit? And then the tracks area will show you all the tracks in your session. You could certainly add those tracks to the current tracks that are going to be part of this group, so we could add that. Or if we had some that we wanted to remove, we could remove those. If I had some pre-selected, so over here, so that means that use this track selection from mix edit window. I could add those back or replace the ones. Maybe I had some in here. I can then replace the ones with the ones that I have selected. So I can either add to the list or replace and make sure that this group contents is exactly the same as what's selected. Then these attributes and globals, we have this follow globals buttons. So when that's checked, then this group will follow the global commands for all these groups. And we could select different globals. It's kind of beyond the scope of what we're talking about. If we don't have that checked, then we could do specific attributes of just this group. But since we're doing an edit group, hardly any of this matters because this is all mix related stuff. So I'll say OK for the drum group. And that creates the group and it makes it active in the groups list. So what does this mean? So when a group is active, that means when I do something to one member of the group, that does something to all members of the group, whether they're selected or not. Oops. So we'll make these back small. So if we made any sort of edits, it edits over all the members of the group when it's active. When it's not active, then you're back to single use, right? And we didn't create a mixed group, so hitting the solo button doesn't solo all of them. We're only talking about edit related things for this group. The other thing you should note is if you have one of the members hidden and we do some editing, it won't affect the track that's hidden. So it'll only affect the tracks that were visible at the time. I'm going to heal that. We should also mention the all group. So even if you have not created any groups in your groups list, you always have the all group. And the all group cannot be deleted. It can't be renamed. When it's active, it overrides any other group. So I could certainly use the all group maybe to bring down all my faders or bring them up. So there are certain instances where the all group is kind of handy, but we just needed to mention that. Now, how do we edit or manage these groups? So on the pop-up menu next to the groups list, we have ways of managing these edit groups. So obviously new group, we saw that just a second ago, that will help us create a new group. The display will reveal a submenu, so we could choose to show only our edit groups, or choose to display only our mixed groups, or obviously choose to display all of our groups. If we need to make a change to a single track and our group is active, one way to do that, we could certainly make the group inactive, but we could also suspend all groups. So Shift Command G on a Mac or Shift Control G on a Windows machine is the shortcut. And if we did that, then we could quickly do something to one of the tracks, and then do that again, and now our group is active. So one of the advantages of that is when you suspend your groups, you'll retain their previous active or inactive status. So it was active before we suspended it, it's still active. If we had unsuspended it, did our change there, then we'd have to reactivate it. So either workflow, I think, works there. Let's see what else. We can modify groups. Control Command G on a Mac or Start Control G on Windows. If I do that, it brings up our Modify Groups dialog box, and we can do things like change the name or change the ID or change what members are part of that group. We can say OK. And that modifies our group. We can certainly delete the active group. This is not undoable, but you will get this confirmation message that comes up that says this group, deleting a group is not undoable. Are you sure you want to delete the currently selected group? I'm going to go ahead and say cancel so we can keep it around. And then we have this thing, restore previously shown tracks. So if I show or hide tracks, or let's say maybe I have these shown, but then I right click on this and I say, you know what, I want to show the tracks in this group. So I showed those tracks. Now I have the option to restore previously shown tracks. So I could take those back out. So these are ways of getting things in and out. I'm going to show all tracks. All right. Or I usually just do this. Then if we right click, we have another set of options here that are just for the item that we right clicked on, and that is shown up here at the top. It's kind of grayed out, but we obviously have ways to modify this. So on the tracks, you'll have a subset list of all the member tracks of the group. We can modify. So this will again bring up that modify groups dialog box, and I can modify my group again. Right clicking again, I can duplicate the menu item, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Duplicate, it'll create another one, we'll call it whatever, right? We can delete. This will delete or permanently remove the group from the groups list. We can select tracks in the group. That's a handy one to have. We can hide tracks in the group. We can show tracks in the group. All these are kind of self-explanatory. We used that option just a minute ago, show all tracks. So if we had some tracks that were hidden, you could have the show all tracks. And then finally, restore previously shown tracks. So if we show or hide any tracks using any of these menu items in the tracks pop-up list, we can right-click on a group and then say restore previously shown tracks, and that will recall our last selection of shown tracks.